We are back talking about the Indianapolis Colts for our fantasy team review 2024. Keep in mind, this was recorded on August 2nd, so some injury news, which is already getting a little bit littered with injury news. If that's something happened on the Colts and we don't talk about it, that's why. We'll maybe do an update show at the end of the late August or early September to get you ready for your draft. So we're on to the Colts. We talked about the Texans. We actually have 3 division rivals in a row. That's how it just works out alphabetically in the Texans, Colts, and Jags. But today we're talking about the Colts, and we have Anthony Richardson, 22.2 years old, going in round 5 as the QB6. So we talked about CJ Stroud in yesterday's video. He's going as the QB5. Anthony Richardson going right behind him. People are expecting big things from him. And you saw a very small sample size of him last year. He played basically 2.5 games. That's what he played. He played in 4 games. He started 4 games and played 4 games. His points in fantasy were 21.9 in his first game, where he played basically the whole thing. But he did get hurt in that game, and he got hurt at the 1-yard line. He was just about to get another touchdown, so he would have had a huge game. And then second game, he played 32% of the snaps, but scored 17.7 points, which is crazy. And then he missed the game. Then he came back and scored 30 points in a game he played the entire game. And then he got hurt for the rest of the season. And that was his dud game because he didn't really do much. But the dude was basically going to have 2 games of over 25 points. 3 games. Like his first 3 games, he's basically going to get 25 to 30 points. Like he could be the cheat code. I normally don't take quarterbacks this high. If I do, it's for guys like Anthony Richardson. So I'm in on Anthony Richardson here. I think he could be not just QB1, but like 40 total touchdowns, 800 rushing yards type of guy. So
better have a little bit more backup.
Yeah, definitely need a backup. But are you, for that reason then, are you kind of out on Anthony Richardson? You want to see a healthy season first? Or
I don't think I didn't think, he was going to be what he did last year. So I was kind of like, wow, this guy's the real deal. And, let's face it, coming out of college, he didn't have a lot of quarterback time and starts and stuff like that. It was all documented. So, he went to the Colts, and the Colts had a new coach. But that coach, I gotta say, the coach, was it Shane Steichen? Mm-hmm. He's the one, he's the guy. Now, if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, man, he's gonna be the man. So, are you gonna get 17 games out of him? I don't know, but just have yourself a good backup. Maybe that's the way you're going to draft and stuff like that. And you want somebody. Maybe draft Flacco. That's the second quarterback. Or pick him up off the waiver wire or whatever. Just kind of. But yeah, I would. In round 5, I think I'd take him.
Yeah. Again, he could easily be QB1 and. Like, man, I'm just looking at it. Like, he put up those type of numbers. He only threw 223 yards, 200 yards in the full games that he played, essentially. So it's like he was still putting up those numbers with 200 passing yards, essentially. So, yeah, he's going to be a cheat code. Again, we're unsure about his passing, but I'm not too worried about, like, that because he's going to rush for 50, 60 yards. He's going to have 15, potentially 10, 15 rushing touchdowns is not out of the realm of possibility. So, I'm a big Anthony Richardson fan for fantasy.
He could be the new Jalen Hurts in a way, So
Cam Newton,
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And I like what Steichen said too when they asked, are you going to limit him? He said, would you stop Steph Curry from shooting threes, So
I know I've seen that, and he's like, yeah, he's right on. So
yeah, just needs to get out of bounds a little bit more.
Right.
That's what you need to do.
Slide,
Learn to slide. Yep. The running back, Jonathan Taylor. Again, this is all half PPR stats and ADP. 25 and a half years old. 10. He's going 10th overall as the RB4. That changes between him and Gibbs. Obviously, half PPR is going to favor Jonathan Taylor a little bit more over Gibbs. But he's kind of, it's McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Bijan, and then there's JT, Saquon, and Gibbs. And those three are kind of in the next tier. Take who you like. I think people forget in 2021, Jonathan Taylor had one of the best rushing seasons like we've ever seen from a running back. He had 1,800 rushing yards. There's not many players in the history of the NFL that have rushed for that many yards. 2,100 total yards.
Especially nowadays where it's kind of de-emphasized, or running backs are de-emphasized, So, so yeah, I mean, the guy's a monster,
Now, the caveat to this, we didn't get to see him play with Anthony Richardson, maybe like very little time, but the caveat to all this, we just talked about Anthony Richardson potentially having 10, 15 rushing touchdowns. That's going to come at the expense of Jonathan Taylor. And rushing quarterbacks generally don't throw to their running backs a whole lot. So we saw that in Philadelphia with Shane Steichen. They target their running backs the least amount in like the entire NFL. So that's where the caveat is, or like, I might lean guys like Saquon and Gibbs over JT just because I think maybe his ceiling is capped. I don't know if he can be, RB1. And, but do I feel confident he's going to be RB top 7? Probably. So what about you, Dad? Are you okay with JT at the end of the first round?
Yeah, I think I'm right there, into first. But if I, beginning the second, I think I'd be okay with it. And but if I have a choice between him and Gibbs, that's all I can say on that.
Yeah. But, what about him and Saquon?
I like Saquon, I think, but he's probably not going to catch the ball a lot, as we've seen Eagles running backs not even last year with a new offensive coordinator. DeAndre Swift wasn't involved in the passing game as much, so I don't know. It'd probably be Jonathan Taylor if I had to choose.
Yeah, that's fair. They're kind of right there. They're very similar in that situation. Quarterbacks that can take touchdowns from them that might not catch the ball a lot. Yeah. I think, what's nice is like you could potentially start your draft with JT and Gibbs, or Gibbs and JT, or JT and Saquon. Like, it's very realistic. And then you just kind of, hammer the wide receivers for the next 5 rounds. Like, I know we talk about wide receivers and we want them, and still the most important position in fantasy is a top tier running back. That is the number one thing that you would want. That's why McCaffrey's going number 1, because there's not many of them. So there's a lot of wide receivers out there. But yeah, JT, I'm fine with him in half PPR as a late first round pick. It's totally fine in my opinion. And look at last year. He was, he started the season off injured, but he averaged almost 15 points per game and was RB8 last year. And we expect the offense to be better. So Trey Sermon is seemingly the handcuff, or, I don't know if he's a handcuff, but he's the backup, the RB2 to JT. He's not being drafted as of right now. That might change as we get closer to draft season. But it's something to know. Like, Trey Sermon, especially if you have JT, if you want to kind of protect yourself, seems to be the main guy. I just don't know if they're only going to use him, if JT goes down. So Michael Pittman at the wide receiver position, got the big contract. He's 26.8 years old. He's going around 4 as wide receiver 19. I think it's a little bit surprising when you actually see his points per game numbers here. Obviously, this is half PPR. He's a little bit better in PPR because he's not a big touchdown guy, but he is a big catch guy. But not as impressive. Wide receiver 27, wide receiver 29, and wide receiver 19 in points per game. Are you worried about his upside a little bit with this Anthony Richardson-led Colts team? Are you happy with Pittman as like potentially your wide receiver 2? Or do you want him more as like, a wide receiver 3 type of player?
Well, yeah, I don't know if I gotta think he's a really strong wide receiver too.
Yeah, safe.
And they're gonna Anthony Richardson. They're gonna figure it out and stuff like that with Pittman. Pittman, I think the Colts have committed to Pittman money wise, financially, contract. So I gotta believe that Pittman's probably going to do well. So,
156 targets last year, 109 catches, like big numbers. Only 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns.
yeah.
So
you can
you
can probably break the numbers down. I don't do it. I'm not an analytical guy like you, Mike, and stuff like that. But you could probably break down the games that he played with Anthony Richardson and see what kind of numbers he was getting, the targets and the receptions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know we only had 3 games.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's part of the issue here is we only saw really 2 games from it because he had. His first game, he threw 37 times, Anthony Richardson. Pittman had 11 targets, 8 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Fantastic. His second game, Anthony Richardson only threw it 10 times, so I don't really know what to take out of that. His third game, A-Rich, threw 25 passes, and Michael Pittman had 5 targets. So about, 20% target share, but 1 catch, So we had 1 really good game, 1 not so great game. That's it. That's all we have to go on. So it's tough. Half PPR, I'm a little bit less excited about him just because I don't think the upside. Again, looking at the players going around him, DK Metcalf. I'm pretty excited about Metcalf this year, and I think Metcalf has a lot more upside than Pittman. Cooper Kupp. Again, I'm kind of excited about Kupp this year. I think he has a lot more upside. DJ Moore potentially has more upside. Those are kind of the 3 receivers going right after him in that range of that late 3rd, early 4th. So I might lean those guys over Pittman in half PPR. Full PPR is a little bit different though, because he could catch 100 passes.
Yeah, to get his touchdown numbers up, maybe 2 or 3 more touchdowns, or he gets 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. And with his numbers that he had, 109 receptions with 7 touchdowns. Those are kind of inviting numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Problem is he hasn't been that touchdown guy.
No.
He had 4 last year, and the Colts threw for 18. So that's actually not that bad. That's 22% of your team's touchdowns is usually going to be pretty good. So if you get to 25 touchdowns, he does get to that 6 or 7 plateau. And what's a little bit intriguing about him, there's not a whole lot to talk about after him. Josh Downs is being drafted as in round 12, wide receiver 58. In half PPR, I'm just not very excited. I don't know how many options are going to be relevant in the passing game for the Colts. And, I don't know if I want to take potentially the 3rd option on this team in Downs, because they did draft A.D. Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell in the 2nd round, a rookie. And how I think it's going to play out is it's going to be Pittman and Mitchell out there and 2 wide receiver sets, and then Downs is going to plug it in the slot. So it's kind of disappointing because, you look at Josh Downs, and it's for a rookie, all right, 70 catches and almost 800 yards is good enough for a rookie. But it's on a team we're not sure how much they're actually going to pass. They have a target hog in Michael Pittman, and they drafted a rookie in the 2nd round. So any interest in Josh Downs? Or are you passing?
No, I'm passing. It's not there for me. So,
yep. Yeah, it's round 12, so if you want to throw a dart, sure, he could improve. But again, I just don't know how much he's going to be out there, what volume he's going to get. I don't expect a lot of touchdowns. I expect Anthony Richardson to throw between 20 and 25 touchdowns, so, and rush for a lot more. A.D. Mitchell is also being drafted in round 13. Any interest in A.D. Mitchell because he's a rookie and you'll take a shot on a rookie and see what happens? Round 13?
I think there's I'm not. There's other rookies, of course, that I think and it's probably more based upon the Colts offense.
Yeah.
And where this guy sits. Now, he could explode and have big numbers and could be Mr. Over the Top and all that other stuff. But for this year, I'm passing.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the players going around him, like Josh Palmer, I'll easily take. He could lead the Chargers in everything in terms of receiving. Xavier Legette is a rookie that I'd probably take over A.D. Mitchell just because I think he has a little bit more upside. So, yeah, I generally agree there. But I also don't mind you taking a shot on a rookie wide receiver drafted in the second round in round 13. So, and then the tight end, they don't really have much to talk about. Like, they've been kind of using a lot of tight ends. Now, one thing I will say about the tight end, if there is one guy that stands out and takes the majority of the targets, I think the tight end for the Colts could actually be pretty good because you put together all their numbers last year and, the 3 or 4 of tight ends, it's Kylan Granson, Jelani Woods, Mo Alley Cox. Like these guys, if you combine all those numbers, they actually look pretty damn good. And Shane Steichen generally does have a tight end in his offense like a Dallas Goedert. The problem is I just don't know if there is going to be one guy. If it's going to be, I think it's going to be Jelani Woods.
I get the impression, yeah. And he's a rookie, right?
No, he was a rookie a couple of years ago, missed all of last year.
Okay.
But he started to come on his rookie year at the end. Like you look at his last 6 games and he had he had like 250 yards and 20 catches. Nothing amazing, but for a rookie tight end, it was solid.
I think the Colts are satisfied with their tight ends, and that they got, Mo Alley Cox and whoever, and they get him the ball once in a while, and I think they like that. So
yeah,
I get the impression that it's not a big deal that they don't have a huge tight end, like they've drafted the last 2 years, they've drafted wide receivers early in the draft, in the NFL draft. So,
yeah, you're right. I just look at it and like, if you combine their top 4 tight end, or their 4 tight ends last year, they had 800 yards total. They had about 50, 60, about 70 catches. Yeah. And, about 6-7 touchdowns. So again, if 80% of that goes to one guy, you're looking at a decent starter. So, but it's a waiver wire guy. We have to see week 1, week 2, what happens. And, then you can pick them up. But my money is on Jelani Woods if that's worth anything. So, so that's it for the Colts. Kind of an easy team. We love Richardson. We're fine with JT. We like him at the end of round 1. We're not sure about the upside for Pittman, but he's probably a safe wide receiver too. And then that's kind of it for the Colts. So we'll be back talking about the Jags. So like and subscribe. We are 8 subscribers away from 500. So we are getting there. Help us get there. And we'll see you guys in the next video.